It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue-focused late-night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Dr. Shameka Walker. She's in the building, and she'll be talking about gig gone wow. What's up, Dr. Shameka? How you doing?
Hi, I'm awesome. How are you doing today, too?
Good. Well, it is an honor and a privilege. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you to viewers for allowing us to stream into your home right now, whether we're on your smart device, maybe your phone, maybe we're on a tablet. Maybe you listen to us in the podcast, maybe we're on the big screen TV. I don't know. But where we are, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Now, you know, Dr. Shameka, when they're looking here, they're seeing gig gone wow. And they want to know probably what in the LL Cool J does gig even mean? So can you take a moment when you use the word gig gone wow, for those folks that didn't go to DC public schools like Shay Brown, what does gig even mean these days so we can all be on the same page?
Okay, basically gig work gone well. That basically tell you those exciting new jobs that the pandemic really made everyone explore, which is like Uber, Lyft, Spark, Shipt, Roadie, Instacart, Uber Eats, DoorDash. It's so many of them, and they go on and on and on and on. Those are the jobs that people have perfected. People like me who decided to leave corporate in order to pursue freedom, not only financially, but time freedom too. And we do that through gig work and able to make a six-figure income doing it.
Now, they're probably wondering, they heard you say, hey, I left my corporate job. They're probably thinking, wait a minute. What made you want to decide? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll get into her background in a minute. We'll get into her backstory. She'll tell you how famous she is and all that. But they might be wondering, what was the reason for you leaving your corporate job? That's a pretty big deal.
I'm gonna tell you, the main reason is that long time ago at the age of 14, I made goals. And one of those goals that was left was to retire at 40. Well, I found myself 40 and pregnant. So I said, well, that wasn't part of the retirement. So I made a decision that while I was out on maternity leave, I said, if I can go out here and do gig work, which I was already doing it as like a side thing. I said, if I can go out here and make the exact same thing that I'm making in corporate, then I'm not going to go back. But I ended up making 3 times the amount. So I said, you know what? I'm not going back. So that's what started me to doing gig work. Besides when we decided to buy a house, that was the first reason why we was doing it as a side job. When we decided to buy a house, we needed to pay down some credit cards, and we also needed to put money in the savings account for the closing on the home. So that was our original plan for why we started to do gig work. But when I found myself 40 and pregnant and stretched out in corporate, that pushed me even further to do it on a full-time basis. It is the best decision that we ever made, me and my husband both.
What do you say to the person that says, wow, you were able to do it. I've thought about it, considered it, prayed about it, but I never took that leap. How were you able to get over the fear of jumping into something that was the unknown? There was no certainty the money was going to come back. How were you able to overcome that fear and still take the actions you needed to take? And I noticed, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get into gig gone, work gone, wow, to talk about that. But you might be wondering, wow, how did she have that fortitude just to go do things in the fear or in the face of uncertainty?
I wanted my time freedom back. I wanted to be able to go to a job where I was actually happy again. And I love to drive. I love to serve people. So and plus I love money. so, so those were the main reason. And just the opportunity to be able to spend more time with family, do my own schedule. I don't have to fuss or argue with employees that don't want to come to work. They just want to play on their phones and not have to beg my boss for time off or fighting for vacation time or either fighting for just being able to go to the doctor appointments. It was just overwhelming. And so I just made a decision that, you know what, I need to regain control of my life back. And you only can get that through financial freedom and time management freedom. So and those are the things that were so important to me. So when I went out there, I made the decision, say, what do I need in order to be able to take care of my family and still live the life I wanted to live. And that was simply $300 a day. $300 a day to me equals $109,500 a year. That's six-figure income. The good thing about that, all that came to me. I wasn't paying taxes out of that. I wasn't paying the 401k at that time out of that. I wasn't paying all the medical insurance, but I had a backup plan. Now, don't get it wrong. I have a spouse who can handle that part in when it comes down to the insurance and the retirement and things of that sort. And that's other things that I've done too to secure my retirement also. But that being able to have freedom with my family and also financial freedom, that was the main two things for me.
I love it, man. You're so direct. You're so honest, man. This is wonderful. We'll get into your background in just a second, but you mentioned something about time freedom and time with family. And our audience, just so you're aware of it, they might want me to make sure you're aware of that. A number of folks are dualpreneurs. They work a full-time job and they're a full-time entrepreneur. And where I'm going with this is, how do you find balance with children and kids without feeling guilty? But they want you to know that, look, I got a husband or I have a wife, so I'm responsible for that. I'm also a caregiver. They're responsible for that. They have kids and their kids have schedules. They're responsible for that. Some folks are involved in their church or in their community activities. They've got that. They've got all this going on. And somebody say, "Shay, I got some more stuff to give you." Can't take it all. But here's the question I have for you. How are you able
Okay.
to juggle all those different things and still take care of the things and take care of yourself without feeling guilty? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Well, one of the things when I'm stressed out, I like to do is shop. But I like to shop for others more so than myself. So with finding the gig work, one of my favorite ones is actually Shipped. And with Shipped, you're going to pay me money to actually go to the store to shop with your list, and you're going to pay me. And if I do a good job, you're going to pay me extra in that little thing called tips. So I go above and beyond for my customers. But by able to do that, not only my husband is ex-military, so he also started it first. So he's the one who got me involved, but I just perfected it. And so with that, so we actually sometimes do it together. We both be out there high-fiving each other, like, how many you got? I'm gonna have more than you. Whoever have the most, the other person got to wash the dishes when they get home or make dinner. So we turn it into a game. And even our oldest daughter, who's now 24, she and her husband does gig work too. I have brothers and nieces and nephews that all I've gotten them all involved into gig work and just having that time, that financial freedom. And then also with my kids, sometimes they're when they have events and things, by me having that time freedom, I don't miss anything at school because I make my own schedule. If I don't want to work that day, guess what? I don't. If I want to sit at home and Netflix and chill, I do. But then I know the next days, whatever my target is for that week, I got to get it. And nobody has to tell me to go out there and get it. I am self-disciplined and you're able to go out there and make whatever goal I have set to go out there and do whatever I need to do to reach that goal.
I
So
love it. So take it
self-motivated.
now. Take a moment.
Self-motivation is key.
Self motivation is the key. I agree with you 100%. Now take a moment because people want to know who you are. The question: who are you, and what's the backstory that led you to doing what you're doing now?
Okay. Well, for most of y'all to know now, I am Dr. Shameka Walker. I have been married for 25 years to an amazing man who's also Dr. Samuel Walker, and he's the pastor of Jubilee Deliverance Ministries. And also, we have three beautiful kids, but we've also raised a lot of more kids besides those three because we are to have three of my godchildren are also living with us. So we actually have five kids in the home altogether. My oldest is 24. My background with education is I have an associate in marketing, a bachelor's in marketing, a minor in psychology. I have an MBA in management, and I have two doctorate degrees. I have an honorary doctorate in literature, and I have an earned doctorate in organizational leadership. And I have several other certificates, things of that sort. But my background is in finance. I spent 14 years in finance, and I was more so on the mortgage finance side, auto loans, and personal loans. And that's where, like I said, I told you earlier, I love money. And that's why I spent a lot of my time was in finance. But I found myself being miserable. And so, as I say, at 40 was my time to retire. And I found myself pregnant at 40 also. So that what pushed me into gig work besides I was already doing it as a part-time gig. So that's Shamika.
Okay. What else would you like to tell us about gig work? We're all curious. We're all leaning forward. What are some of the best practices?
Some of the best practices, you have to do them simultaneously. Some of them, like for example, if I decide I'm going to do Uber and Lyft, I'm going to cut both machines on, and whoever clicks on me first or they send me a client first, then that's the one I'm going to go work, and I'm going to cut the other one off. Or another, very important that you also know your surrounding. Like for me, I live north of Atlanta. So, Atlanta has everything there. It has a lot of colleges. It has NFL football. It has the basketball. So you name it is there in Atlanta. So many different events and things to do. So you have to know what event is going on in town. So it may be more beneficial if you do Uber and Lyft because you work in events. But my favorite, as I told you earlier, is Shift. And that's more so in the suburbs where I live. With Shift, I go out and I shop for the customers and I bring their items to their home. But I may work Instacart along with it because they the exact same thing, just a different app. Same thing with Uber Eats and also with DoorDash. And if you're going to do those events, you want to work like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Those are the times that everybody want to eat. So that's the time that everybody's ordering food. It's very important that you know your market and work. Don't be afraid to work more than one app. I have a total of 8 apps on my phone. And I also do a little other things like I do paparazzi jewelry also. So that's my thing, my other little gig that I like to do on the side, which is to selling the fancy jewelry. As you can see, I'm wearing some of it today. So, but you have to know your market and you have to know your clientele and where you're living at. Each market is different, but you want to do more than one at a time to maximize your money and maximize your time.
I love it, by the way. And it leads us to a really important segment we have here called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what we're about to do, by the way. You can go ahead and say those magical words. Today is my January 1st. Doesn't that feel good? Happy New Year to you, by the way. Happy New Year to you. For all the new folks who are joining for the very first time, today is my January 1st is our personal mantra here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, or how bright and sunny that past is back there, you know what? The past no longer equals the future. And so my question for Shameka on the other side is really twofold. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? What do you hear? And number two, what was a moment you had in your life where there was a setback, and how did you bounce back from it?
Okay. So what was my January 1st is when I took off all limitations from myself because I realized that a lot of my friends and family members would come to me for advice. And I was keeping all this advice to myself and sat there and watched people struggle. So I said, well, what can I do in my life to help others? And that's why I go out and talk about the gig work and things of that sort to other people to let them know that no matter what you're going through financially, if you're stuck, try something different. Even if it's not gig work, try something else that you love. That well, like for example, I was talking about paparazzi. That's something extra I do. So in gig work, if it's storming and I can't go outside, I may go live and sell my jewelry. Let them know that you have to live your life without fear. That was the title of one of my books, what I call Love Without Fear, which bases the same thing. You living your life fearless. You being able to go out here and let nothing stop you, no matter what you've been through in your past, no matter what obstacle come your way, that there's still hope. You still have a purpose. You are still somebody, and you too deserve the best life has to offer. And if you have to push yourself and you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I got this. I can do that. You can do that. That was my aha moment. That was my January 1st. And is knowing that somebody needs to hear my story. Somebody can be inspired by me. Somebody can feel hopeful by listening to my story and letting them know that you too can achieve whatever it is in life that you want to achieve.
I love it. Said so well, by the way. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being so authentic. I appreciate that. You know, one of my favorite questions to ask when we have time, we have a few minutes now, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I'll frame it for the audience. So I understand we're not asking you to come off the mountain with the 10 commandments or anything here. But if you look back at all the mentors you had, which you had so many, you've read probably more books you can remember these days, watch more videos. I don't know if we even track how many videos we watch anymore. But if you had to step back and say, wow, Shay, here's something that was given to me from a personal perspective that I know I hold near and dear to my heart that I want to pass on to the audience, what would it be and why?
I'm going to give the one that my parents taught me at a young age. One of the things that my parents did, which I'm so thankful that they did, even though they've gone on to heaven now, is that they introduced me to God at a very young age. And one of the things that the Bible tells us is that anytime that we're having a problem, that we to cast our burdens on Him. And that's the one, the best thing that my parents could have ever taught me was to introduce me to Jesus and reading all the different scriptures out there. But the one where He said, cast my burdens on Him and let Him fight my battles, then I learned that no matter what I'm going through in life, I'm never going through it alone. I always have God's presence right here. And I learned to trust His process. His process is way better than my process. My process get me in trouble. But when I trust His process and follow His lead, and I do that always through prayer. So that's the best advice I could give everyone is to trust God process, because sometimes our process may lead us astray.
Ah, I love it, by the way. Spot on. So on track, by the way. You know, when you're not out saving the world and helping other folks, by the way, have their gig work on the side, what do you do for fun? What do you and your family enjoy doing for fun?
We love to travel. One of the other things about me that a lot of people don't know is I'm also a flight attendant. And so with the flight attendant, that afford us an opportunity to travel for a little of nothing. So whenever I'm not doing gig work and I just feel like I just need to take a flight, I gather up the family and we take a flight together, or it may just be a solo trip with just me. I may go to work with the airline that I work for, and I say I may pick a trip to Boston because I want to just go hang out for Boston for a little while, or a trip to Detroit, because Detroit, I can catch a 10-minute bus to Canada and back. So it just depends on what it is that I'm looking to do. But I also at the church, I sing. I love to sing. I always get the family together to sing, or we just stay home and just play games and Netflix and chill. To me, I like the simple life, because in my 20s and my 30s, I made sure that whatever I did in my 20s and 30s, that I didn't have to spend my 40s and 50s fixing it. So I am afforded the life now where I can travel, be free, and basically just do whatever I want to do that day.
Oh, that's a good position to be in, by the way. Thankful to you as well. And, take a moment if you can. I know you wrote, or you were part of an anthology called The Comeback with the one and only, the
Yes.
Godfather speaking himself, Les Brown. Inside Comeback, what was your chapter and what was your story? What was your chapter about in The Comeback?
In the comeback, I talked about 5 different challenges that I would face in life. One was dealing with, I was molested as a child. So I talked about how I was able to overcome that. And what that did, that pushed me into being an overachiever, which I got involved in every sport you can possibly think of. Anything that they would let me do it. At some point, they told me when I wanted to play tennis, nope, you do enough, which is fine. So I just kept on going. But the one that I excelled in the most was track and cheerleading. That was the two that I excelled the most. And I also played basketball and ran cross country. The second thing that I talk about in the book was when I went off to college. I found myself in a relationship where I was being abused. So I talked about the domestic violence experience. And one thing about the domestic violence experience and also the experience as a child is that I made sure that those experiences didn't stop me from still believing in love and finding love. So when I finally got out of that relationship, I actually left him on a Friday and met my husband that Sunday. And we dated for 6 weeks and we've been married now for 25 years. So I didn't let those bad experiences stop me from allowing someone else who genuinely loved me to come into my life and make all my dreams come true, because he still loves me strongly today. So I talk about that situation. Then I also talk about once I found that man of my dream. And the one thing that he wanted was kids. And we struggled to have kids. That's why my oldest is 24 and my second one is 10. So for 14 years in there, we was having infertility issues and giving birth. But I didn't give up. Now we have the 24-year-old, the 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And then not only that, after that, I talked about my journey of having my parents for so many years of my life. And then all of a sudden, they're both in the last 3 years, we lost both parents. But one thing about my parents, not only did they teach us how to live with them, they taught us how to live without them. And I'm the 11 or 12 kids. I grew up with 6 brothers and 4 sisters because 2 babies died at a young age. So with that being said, it was 4 girls and 6 boys. And so with the 10 of us, we haven't had one fight since mom and dad had passed away. They taught us well. And I enjoy that. We chit chat every day through text messages and we Zoom every other Sunday. So we stay in contact with each other. We're very active into each other's lives and very supportive of each other. But that's the key to having a two-parent home and having parents that was God-fearing and raised us in church. And they really taught us the right way that we're supposed to live and to be good citizens. And the fifth thing I talk about is my journey as a first lady. One of the worst things you can ever experience is church hurt. And I made it my point to make sure that I am the first lady that everyone deserves, someone that genuinely loves everyone unconditionally. I'm always supportive. I am a server. I would rather serve you than you serve me. And so those are the five topics that I talked about in the book. That I talked about those five journeys and how my comeback that no matter what it was, nothing have set me back. Because like I told you before, I am like a diamond. I'm made from the rough. God made me the best.
Ah, man, I love it. I just love what you're doing. I wish we could just spend so much more time as we come down the home stretch. A two-part question. I love it, by the way. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? And number two, how can folks best connect with you? How can they stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that we have right now?
Right. The clientele that I'm looking to service, anyone that if you need a coach, you need a mentor, you need someone to inspire you or motivate you, I am your girl. Dr. Shameka Walker. I'm that person. If you need someone that if I don't have the answer, that I would go get that answer for you and I would be right there by you to motivate you along that step, no matter what you're going through. It could have been something in your childhood or something that you're going through today. No matter what that is, that aspect of life, I'm that person that you need in your life. If you need just that person that's going to stand there and just hold your hand, even if it's just something just to listen to you or cry with you. I am that person for you. And the best way to reach me on all social media handles, you can reach me at Ask Shameka, which that is at ASKSHAMEKA, or my website, which is AskDrShameka.com, which that's AskDrShameka.com.
I love it. Let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. You're incredible. You're amazing. Keep doing God's work. We got to have you back.
Thank you.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, well, we don't have a show. So I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really well and there's another level you're looking to get to, or you've been hit with the punch you never saw coming. The one thing I do know is that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, I believe your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name hasn't changed. It's still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And we'll make some good things how we connect again next time. Peace. Thanks a lot, Doc. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.